Hello, everybody. It is Dean Z speaking to you from my basement with a bit of an emergency episode. This is the time of year where you are being asked to submit deposits to any schools that you have been admitted to. Traditionally, schools have a deposit deadline of between April 1 and April 30. So we're right on top of that. And there can be a lot of confusion about protocols regarding deposits. In fact, the other day, at the end of last week, a listserv that I kind of lurk on of pre-law advisors was talking about asking a lot of questions about what is okay for an applicant to do and not do. And there was quite a lot of confusion among the pre-law advisors. So I figured if there's confusion there, there's going to be confusion among the applicants as well. So here I am. I hope to dispense with confusion. The particular issue that had grabbed the pre-law advisor's attention was, is it okay to submit multiple deposits? The easy answer to this, or the straightforward answer to this, is in the absence of any other specific rule from a given school, the default answer is yes, you can submit 1, 2, 100 deposits, whatever floats your boat, in the absence of a rule. We'll get to that in the absence of a rule caveat in a second. But first, let's talk about if you are allowed to do so, does that mean you ought to do so? In most cases, no, frankly. There are some good reasons for submitting multiple deposits. Here's an example. Well, I'd say the overall category or definition of what it's okay is there information that you don't have that you're going to get and that is outside of a school's control? If so, then sometimes it can make sense to do more than one deposit. So an example of that would be, let's say you are considering schools in Miami and Seattle. And you are traveling with, you're planning to go to school with a significant other coming with you, and the significant other needs to get a job. And they're in the process of, applying for jobs, but they don't know yet. Well, obviously, if you're in Miami and your significant other ends up in Seattle, that's going to be tough on the old relationship. So maybe you want to put down 2 deposits until your significant other can figure out where they are going to be gainfully employed. That's one reason. What's not a good reason would be if, say, there's information you need, but it is in the control of a given school. So let's say you're considering 2 schools. One has told you everything you need to know about, scholarships, has answered your questions about, career stuff, whatever it is you want to know. You've gotten it all from one school. And another school has been slower, right? And you don't feel like you can make a decision until you get particular information from that school, and they're dragging their feet. Well, you can't ask the first school that has done everything it ought to do to give you an extension. So you really have to put down a deposit there. The second school, though, you shouldn't put down a deposit. You should say, hey, I need this information and I don't feel comfortable depositing until I get it. Can I please have an extension? You should do so respectfully. You should do so politely, but you should do so firmly. I think that is, well within your rights. Now, it might be that when you get that information, however slowly you get it, that you will decide not to attend that initial school. And in that instance, you will have had to pay 2 deposits, but you won't have to have had 2 deposits at the same time. So why not just put down 20 deposits? You have lots of options, let's say, and you are having a hard time making up your mind what you want to do. And there's no more info you need. You just are like, I don't know. Do I love Michigan Law School or do I love Michigan Law School? That's hard to say. And you're just thinking about it, right? Make that decision. As someone who spends her whole job making lots of decisions, I can tell you that mulling over it sort of neurotically does not make that decision go any easier. If you have the information you need, just kind of do what you can do to force yourself to make the decision, as opposed to stringing it out, a couple weeks, couple months, and wasting your money, right? Because deposits are not cheap. Some of them are, $150. Some of them are $2,000, which is, well, that's a lot. So, there's no point in wasting your money. So I would say that's not a good reason to do it, and that is the reason why you should try to avoid it. A not good reason for avoiding double deposits is what the pre-law advisors seem to be concerned about, and that was schools don't like it. That is true. Schools do not like it. When I see the list of people who submitted deposits, I like to think it bears some connection with who's actually going to enroll in the fall. I know that there will be what we call melt over the summer. People will withdraw, maybe for another school, maybe from a wait list, maybe because they just decided not to go to law school this year, whatever it is. But it's a pretty close relationship between the people who deposit and the people who end up enrolling in the fall. And so if lots of those people have double or triple deposits, there is less of a close relationship. So schools don't like it. But that's my problem, not your problem, right? That's my interest, and that is not the same as your interest. So if it is not in any way illicit, and it isn't, the fact that a school may not like it is neither here nor there. The pre-law advisors were concerned that schools would know and then withdraw the offer or what have you. It is true that in the past, we did used to get a list of who had deposits at multiple schools starting in about mid-May. That changed a couple of years ago because the DOJ Antitrust Division made noises in various quarters about anti-competitive behavior among schools, and this was seen as anti-competitive. And that should tell you something, so that we no longer get that. That tells you that it is perhaps not in consumer interest to have these rules against two deposits. So in any event, the point there is I won't know. I will get a list that says, 20 of the people who've sent in deposits to you have sent in deposits to other schools, and here are the other schools to which they've deposited. But it's just an aggregate bit of info. I have no way of uncovering and figuring out that, Susie Q was one of the people who sent in multiple deposits. So nothing to be worried about there. Now, what about the schools that say explicitly, if you submit a deposit to us, you must withdraw from every other school that you have a decision from, or that say, if you accept the scholarship, you must withdraw from every other school. I get why people do that. Enrollment management is hard. I don't think it's great because, again, I think however hard it is for us to manage our enrollment, it is harder for you to manage your life, and we should be cognizant of that. But I do understand why schools do it. That said, it is largely unenforceable. Again, we don't get information about who has done it. The Law School Admissions Council will not, used to, I think in the past, consider this misconduct in the admissions process by an applicant violating a rule like that, but it no longer will treat it that way. So am I saying go ahead and ignore something you've committed to do? I absolutely am not saying that. You are about to enter a profession where your word is your bond and where your trustworthiness is sort of at the heart of what makes it all work. But I am saying there might be really exigent circumstances where you feel like you're in a corner, and maybe you've talked to the school and they aren't bending something. I'm not really sure. If this were to happen to you, the only way you go about getting in trouble is by telling the school, I'm withdrawing from you because even though you had a rule against two deposits, I actually did submit a deposit to another school, and now I'm going to that other school. And then I feel compelled to tell you that depending on the personality of the admissions office, the policy of the school, a variety of other factors, it is possible for the admissions officer who you ditched to pick up the phone and talk to the admissions officer to whom you made a commitment and say, hey, did you know that this person violated one of our rules, and is that something you are comfortable with in your class? And sometimes the person who gets that call will say, no, I am not comfortable with that in my class, and will withdraw the offer to you. Sometimes they'll say, I don't really care, seems fine to me. And then you're fine. You should know that many schools put it as a condition of their offer that you are agreeing to let them share information this way. That is in the conditions of offer for Michigan, for example. So it is, if it is not impossible that there could be bad consequences for you violating a rule, which is why I don't recommend doing it. But I do think it is important for you to recognize there is no official mechanism by which your name will be besmirched if you go this route. So that about wraps up everything I want to tell you. There is one more thing. The email that got this whole conversation started among the pre-law advisors had to do with a law school that allegedly tells its admitted students, our deadline for deposit is April 15th, unless earlier than that, we get all the deposits we want, in which case, then we stop taking deposits. That strikes me as insane. I've never heard of such a thing, and I have no reason to mistrust the pre-law advisor who said that, except that it just is like, what? How can a school do that? So this is a little bit of a plug. If you are considering a school that has a policy like that, I'd love it if you emailed and just confirmed. You don't even have to tell me the name of the school. Just tell us that, yes, that is something that is happening, because I find it unhinged, I'm going to say. Okay, so I think that covers everything I want to say about deposits. And now I do want to talk about grammar, even though this is a special emergency episode. I have a grammar emergency too. It has recently come to my attention that there is a spate of people writing sentences thusly. Please admit me and my good friend Sarah Zierfoss to your law school. What is wrong with this? What is wrong with this is that you should put the other person first. Never foreground yourself when you are listing yourself and other people. This came up because a student with whom I am close sent me an email exchange he had with a faculty member that he thought was funny. He was asking the faculty member a favor, and the faculty member was like, sure, no problem. But in the favor, he had used this formulation of me and somebody else, the student had. And the faculty member then, after saying yes, went on this long tirade is too strong a word, but we'll call it a lengthy exegesis about how wrong that sounds, that you should not say me and the student just thought that was sort of adorable and funny. And all I could say is like, but he is so right. How can you write like that? You're a monster. And then a week later, two of my good friends who are grammar buddies started a little text thread about this because they've been hearing it a lot and they find it so painful to the ears. So I did a little research, and it turns out this isn't really a grammar thing. This is just like a courtesy thing. Just like you don't barge through a door in front of someone else, you also don't barge through them in a sentence, I guess is what I mean. So yeah, always put the other people first and put yourself at the end. Please and thank you. I'm grateful. All right. That's all I got today. A special extra thank you to Dustin Johnston, because this is actually a re-recording of an episode that I did yesterday, but it turned out when he went to do the production that Admissions Cat was meowing so loudly in the background that it was unusable. So Admissions Cat has been ensconced in another room for the duration of this filming. Let's also say, always like to get your ideas. Email us at law.jd.admissions@umich.edu. Put it in the comments below. Yeah, please. Love the ideas. All right, that's all I got. So wherever you go, go blue.